Well, who doesn't like riding a motorcycle? There's some people, I suppose, but they shouldn't fear it. You should try it because it's a beautiful thing. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking with it. What's going on, everyone? And this is my review of my 2025 Panigale V4 base model. I've had this bike since December of 2024. I got I have over 2,300 miles on it, so very excited about that. Got a full exhaust, loving the sound. Some carbon bits on here, engine covers and stuff like that. Man. Carbon fiber rear hugger I replaced. I got some other bits coming, so I'll probably make another video on those bits when I get the chance. So let's talk about buying the bike. Not all dealers are alike, and for people who have bought bikes at dealers already, probably have an idea what I'm talking about. The buying experience of my Panigale was more than I'd like to stay on camera, but it was not the best. I had 2 dealerships that were close to me that, you know, for one reason or another, one didn't call me back, even I called him several times, gave him my name and number, and another one did some work on my other bikes, and I wasn't happy with the work, so I decided to put them on punishment for a year. They were a good dealership, but sometimes some things happen, and sometimes it's you that it happens to, and I've had over, 14 bikes, maybe 15 bikes. And for the most part, I've had really good experiences. Granted, I've bought those bikes from one dealership, and but they're bad dealerships. There's good dealerships. There's a downside when you run upon a bad one, and you got to, and you have to deal with it. It's no fun. So that experience was not the best for me, and I had to, vent a little bit, which I did. And one of my mechanics told me about another dealership. And I knew somebody that worked there, so I ended up going there and getting my bike. I got a good price on the bike. I got a good price on parts. I also do a podcast, and they're a sponsor of the podcast. So out of a bad situation came a good situation. So no complaints there. And now they get my business, and I tell people to go to their dealership, which is Freedom Cycle in Concord, New Hampshire. It's so far away from where I am down in Florida. Yes, I know, but hey, man, for a good price, sometimes you gotta go where you gotta go. So let's get back to the bike. Why did I get a Panigale V4? Let's start with that. The main reason is because I always wanted one. Back when I started riding back in 2012, was when I got my first Ducati 848 Street Fighter. I knew from just doing research, I wanted the Panigale that was coming out with the tech and all that fun stuff. But I was also a new rider. Yes, it's crazy thinking about a big leader bike as a new rider, but my first year riding, I did over 11,000 miles on my bike. To kind of just get a lot of seat time, so I feel pretty confident. And since then I've been racing a lot since 2013 up until now. So, you know, so yeah. So anyway, I at the time it was 1199 and 1299s were coming out, and I wanted to get a bike that didn't have tech on it. So I ended up going with the 1198 with no tech. Got traction control, but it's off. And I still have that bike. It's one of my favorite bikes. At the time when I got my bike, though, I thought I was going to just keep it for a little bit and then trade it in. But I love the bike so much that it's still in the stable. I have 5 other bikes, and I still have my 1198S. I probably should do a video on that bike at some point, and my other bikes as well. But so I did not get a Panigale. Then life happens. I was doing a lot of racing, building race bikes and stuff like that. So, you know, the opportunity presents itself to get a bike. And, you know, when the new 2025 V4 came out with more tech, I was like, now is the perfect time to get a bike. And at first, you know, I was going to get the V4S. But then I also want to do track days on the bike. And granted, you can use the V4S for track days. But I feel confident enough in my riding skills that I wanted to get full Oleans. So the plan would be to do full Oleans, front forks and rear shock on this bike. So I ended up going with the base model. And I know the S come with more than just that, but I also got some other wheels coming. So, you know, it's going to be nicer than an S. That's all I can say when it's done. So anyway, so bought the bike, went to New Hampshire, got it, brought it down. I have some videos that I'll probably insert from when I first got the bike and stuff like that, when it was still pretty stock, no exhaust and stuff like that. And you know, my first impression, I really like it. It was really quiet because of the stock exhaust, which was the downside. I think my Honda lawnmower was louder than the Panigale when I got it. So it's unfortunate that Ducati, you know, I mean, I'm sure with all the Euro 5 emissions, they got to do what they got to do. But, you know, for a bike like that, it would have been nice to have a nicer sound for a stock bike. Right? So my first impressions of the bike was easy to ride, very nimble. Granted, I mean, I'm in Florida. I wasn't going fast. As you can tell, most of the roads are straight. And I didn't go past the break-in and stuff like that. Maybe just a little, but not really as far as the RPMs are concerned. So, you know, I knew I liked the bike right away. I was actually quite surprised at how easy it was to ride. And so, yeah, you know, so that's my first impression, essentially, easy to ride. And like I said, I have about 2,300 miles plus on it now. So I feel like I know the bike really well at this point. I've had one track day on it, which I enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to doing more track days on the bike. I will say that rear brake, the rear brake that the system applies when you're going around corners and stuff like that, it's pretty cool. When it first worked, the first time I felt it in use was a little surprising, but I got used to it after that, and it really does make a difference. It's really smooth, and I really like that feature. So that's good. But let's talk about some other features. I also wanted cruise control, heated grips. I also wanted. I'm gonna mess up the name. I think it's the DVAC. I'll correct it if I'm wrong. I also wanted that. But here's the problem with those features. Because I have a full exhaust, I cannot at the moment use cruise control, and I cannot use the media feature as well, because it's a race exhaust, and because it's a race exhaust, they want you to be on the track, so it's track only. I didn't know that at the time when I got all the features and stuff like that. Even if I did, I probably still would have gone the route I'm going, which is not to use control. and not to use and do away with the multimedia system because of the exhaust. Now I did go with the Acro exhaust, and at the time that was the only full exhaust that was out. I know there's other brands out now, but at the time it's what it is. So, and I do love my exhaust. I know there's a lot of people out there on social media, online. I'm not a fan of it, but I like it. And honestly, I love the sound. I ride the bike more than I look at the bike, so from that perspective, you know, I'm never really looking at the exhaust, and it's really light. It really made a difference between the weight of the stock exhaust and the full exhaust as far as feel on the bike and stuff like that. So to get back to it though, the downside is that depending on the features you have or what you want on the bike, you may not be able to get all your features, and that's part of the downside, because it'd be nice to have cruise control down here in Florida. I'm not gonna lie, it would be, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. So you know, it is what it is. So be mindful of the features that you get, because you may not be able to get all of them or get some of the parts you want. Okay, that's that. Am I gonna work on a bike myself? Probably not. It seems like a lot of things on here, you kind of have to know what you're doing. I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. But as I learn more about the bike, I'll do more on the bike, you know, like oil changes and stuff like that. I really don't take my bikes like too far apart and stuff like that. And I mean, I can. I've taken, you know, swap engines on my R6, you know, you've changed an engine, pretty much changed a lot. So I'm not opposed to doing it. It's just I'm of the mind that, you know, I don't want to break stuff if I don't know what I'm doing. And some people don't mind breaking stuff. I just don't like to break stuff. So I'd rather learn how to do it. And I mean, even then you can still break stuff, I know, but I'd rather learn how to do it first. That's all I'm saying. So, you know, so will be some wrenching. Obviously, going to the track, I will have to change wheels and stuff like that. So I will do some stuff. But, you know, I saw a video the other day on somebody who changed their master cylinder. They were able to do it, but they did say it was a pain, and they did have some learning experiences from that. So I may or may not change mine. I know I'm upgrading my master cylinder, so I may do it, I may not. We'll see. But the reason why I'm changing it, after I went to the track, my race bikes got master cylinders done. They don't have the stock ones anymore. I have a RC 19 on the on my R6 race bike, and I love the way that feels. So when I took this bike to the track with the stock one, it just felt a little squishy, more squishy than I'm used to. I'm not gonna sit here and say it wouldn't be fine or it's not fine to go around. It's just not what I'm used to, and so because of that, I'm changing it. I like to have a little bit more bite on my brakes going down the straightaway at over 150 plus. Definitely want that. So, you know, so that's that. What is it like to own? I mean, I actually enjoy the bike. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm a fan of Ducati, so it's pretty easy. But you know, the stock suspension on this bike is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. For street riding, probably track riding as well. On the track, I had, you know, no complaints. Granted, I wasn't pushing the bike beyond its limits or close to the limits at all. So you know, there's that. So if you have a base model and you plan on keeping the stock exhaust, I think you'd like it. I mean, I think if you're a track racer and stuff like that, you may want a better suspension than the stock exhaust, because you probably already have a better suspension on your race bike than stock, so you know what that's like. So, you know, it's all about being nice and comfortable and having the feel that you like on a bike. You know, I'm no Marc Marquez. I can't ride any bike. I like my bikes to do what I think they're gonna do or what I expect them to do and stuff like that. So, you know, that's what it is. Um, the quick shifter. I am a fan of the quick shifter up and down. It's pretty nice. I have no issues with that so far. I haven't had any false neutrals or anything like that. I will say you can't be lazy with it. You got to be deliberate. If you're lazy, it just takes a little bit longer, so the bike doesn't shift as smooth as I would like. So you definitely can't be lazy with the quick shifter, but I haven't ridden any BMWs. I can't tell you what that quick shifter is like. I do have a Translogic quick shifter on my R6 up and down, and I love it. Compare this to that. This is definitely better than that. This is definitely smoother than that. So I don't think I need to go beyond what's the quick shifter that's with the bike. I will change the mirrors at some point because, not to say I'm going for the cool look, I just like my mirrors not to vibrate. And all of the Ducatis I've owned, I've changed the mirrors on, and I've had 5 of them so far. So that's something that's going to come. I did do the NRC tail tidy, and just to get rid of the tail, I'm showing my license plate. I didn't do the hidden one because I don't want to get pulled over for not having my license plate visible. And usually on the streets I'm pretty much obeying their law, so there's no reason for me to hide my plate or to be harassed unwantedly while I'm riding because I have it hidden. I know there's other tail tidies out there. This is the one I got at the time, and I like it. It works. Again, I'm on my bike a lot, so I really don't look at these things other than when I'm cleaning the bike. So I don't necessarily need to worry that it has to be exact. I will say I'm curious to see what the R version of this bike looks like and come with. I mean, they're probably gonna look the same, but come with. I'll just be very curious to see because it should be pretty cool. Let's talk about the heat. Now, please comment below and tell me this if you do have the 25 model. This is something I noticed when I had the stock exhaust. I found that if I moved my feet forward and I sat back in the seat, I didn't feel heat. I didn't feel a lot of heat at all. And but when I got my full exhaust, I feel more heat, but it's in one spot behind my right hamstring, and I don't feel I could wear jeans, riding jeans. I don't wear regular jeans on my bikes, but riding jeans, I don't feel I can wear those because it's too hot, and I need insulation between the exhaust and my leg. So textile pants and leathers, no problem. I mean, I'm down in Florida and it's September now, but I've been riding over the summer. It's warm, but it's not. It's doable. I mean, granted, I do like the heat, so some people may complain about it, but it's part of having a Ducati. Comes with heat, literally and figuratively from people. So you kind of have to know what you're getting yourself into. So that's I don't mind the heat. I'll still ride this bike all day with the heat it has. You kind of have to, I think. I mean, you may, depending on where you are in the world, you may not, but hopefully it gets cooler and you have times you can ride your bike. I do know down here there's some folks that ride at night. I've gone on ride with some of those folks, so it's a lot cooler at night for sure. But I like riding in all the time, so I don't, like I said, the heat is something that is part of having a Ducati. And I know all bikes don't get as hot as a Ducati. I've had a VFR that didn't get hot. My Yamaha R6 doesn't get hot. I had a Tuono, it didn't get hot. Even my Hyperstrada Ducati, I found didn't get as hot as like my 1198 or my 1198S, or my Multistrada that I had gave off a lot of heat. This bike does a good job of when you're at a stop, the rear cylinders are working, so you definitely notice the difference that there's no heat there. So very exciting. I haven't gone through all of this. I've gone through all of the settings, but I don't really play with the settings as much because I'm not really driving crazy on the streets, riding crazy on the streets, I should say. So no need there to play with the settings. But when I go to the track, definitely, as far as putting it in race mode, playing with engine braking, that kind of thing. You do have to leave ABS on, because else the rear brake will not apply when the bike thinks it wants to, right? Because it's not me, so it's definitely the bike. So you can set it in the slowest setting. I think like 3 is the setting. Any lower than that, it will disable it completely. And I have ABS on the bike. Fortunately, I haven't had to do any hard stopping to know if it engaged, and maybe it engaged and I didn't even realize it. So, which is pretty cool so far. So no complaints about ABS. Traction control, no complaints about that either. Granted, not to toot my own horn, but like I'm pretty comfortable with wrist to throttle. So it's rare that I'm doing something that I don't. I'm not going to whiskey throttle a bike these days. I've trained myself to let go of the throttle, and so if I was to, for some reason, have a moment and grabbed a little bit of a throttle, I just let go. I still have my feet on the rear sets. I still have my left hand to deal with the clutch, so I just let go and deal with it that way. And again, that doesn't happen too often because I'm very mindful when I'm riding, because anything can happen. So I try to be mindful of that. So no testing of traction control yet. I've ridden down here in the rain. I still keep it in the same mode. I don't really go to rain mode because, again, if you're the type of person that wants to play around in the rain, then you may want to change those settings, I guess. What else? I mean, it's a sport bike. It's a super bike. I guess it's pretty comfortable. I'm actually surprised how comfortable it is. My 1198, I'm used to it, but it's not a comfortable bike. You got to be in some type of shape if you want to ride all day. Put 300 plus miles on the bike on 1198. You got to be in shape. I think on this bike, you should always be in shape in life, but it's not as bad. Like it's very comfortable. I've yet to go, I'm too tired of riding. I've yet to do that. So from that perspective, pretty comfortable bike. I'm 5'8". I'm about 155 right now. Trying to lose a little bit of pounds still, because I race motorcycles as well, and I like to be in shape, and I don't want the pounds. So I find that I'm comfortable between 147 and I guess 151, 152, because now is not a bad weight, but I'm used to being in the 140s, so it's more of like a goal than a necessity. But I like I said, I'm very comfortable on a bike. Very surprised how comfortable it is. I guess I would have to talk to somebody who's a little bit taller to see how they feel on it. You know, when I first got the bike, I was kind of on my tippy toes, the ball of my feet. But I think once the suspension settled a bit, like I can pretty much flat foot it, both feet on the ground. So that's pretty cool. I did get my bike adjusted, the sag adjusted for my weight. So, you know, which is something which is something everyone should do, regardless if you buy a new bike, used bike, race bike. Get the sag set. It'll make your life so much easier. You know, something that you probably could do on your own, but you know, either way, get it done. Because it took me, when I first got my first bike, I probably didn't do it for like 6 months, and after I did it, oh my goodness, what a difference. And so after that, I get it done on all the bikes. My only other complaint would be, you do notice that there's a little bit of, not a little bit, you do notice that there's something in between you and the throttle. There are parts that I was told that I could change to make it, give it a better feel. But that'll be my only complaint. Now I do have the Ducati flash on it, so I haven't done any other brands or companies yet. I may or may not. I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that's looking to race people on the streets or even race people on the track. I'm just going to track days to have fun. So I don't think I need to squeeze every ounce of power I can get out of the bike. I think if you're into that, then you would look at other, it seems like other tuning companies outside of Ducati does a really good job at tuning the bike. And from what I've seen from other Ducati owners that own the 2025 V4, they really like it. On the dyno, they've seen the difference. So, you know, but I like the tune on it that comes with it. Like I said, I have no complaints. And my goal is to do track days, mostly at bigger tracks. So I did Jersey earlier this year. I was hoping to do Laguna Seca and do Coda this year, but I'm not going to get around to it. So I think that's going to be next year's schedule for me. But this is where the bike needs to be, though, on the track. On the street is nice, you can run with everybody and do all that fun stuff, but you know, if you're not out there at the track and, you know, hitting chicanes and, you know, just really putting it through the paces or the best of your ability, you know, you really don't, that's when it comes alive, and that's when you're going to have fun. And that's what it was for me at Jersey. I've raced at Jersey on my KTM RC 390. I've raced at Jersey on my R6. So I know the track fairly well. I even did a track day with California Superbike there, 2-day class with them there. So, you know, I know the track really well. I know my lines really well. I would say the changes that they've made to the track, turn 1 between 2 and 3 over there, and just the asphalt made a difference as well. So, like, I had fun at that track. The bike, you know, I don't know about other people, but Ducatis, like, when I ride the ones I've had, if I think it does it, in a sense of, like, if I see a line that I want to take, the bike does it. You know, it doesn't have to, I don't have to adjust or do anything. It just does exactly what I want it to do. My Tuono didn't do that. My R6, you know, I'm still fighting with it. So, you know, the KTMs are small enough that it goes where you want to go. So I definitely like what Ducati has been doing as far as that, and how it feels to me. And I think that's about it, guys. You know, 2025 V4 Panigale. It's a beautiful bike. I know I don't really want to talk about the looks too much, because I say I don't want to talk about it too much, but there's people who love it and there's people who don't. You know, the 24, the 23, the 22, I love how those bikes look. You know, if I'm lucky and the gods give me another Panigale, I might get one of those just to compare the two. So I do love how the old ones look, but I also like how this looks. And it's a different bike. You know, and the double-sided swing arm, I don't care. I still have my 1198S. That's single-sided. My other bikes, they were single-sided. So, I know why they made it the double-sided for this, and it's for competition, and it's for racing, and I am of the mindset of performance over looks, and so for me, and the bike doesn't look bad at all. I mean, I don't get tired of looking at this thing ever, So it's not a 24, it's not a 23, it's not a traditional in the sense, and that's right. And if that's the case, then for those that feel strongly about it, I assume they're not going to buy it. But from what I can tell, there's a lot of people buying Ducati V4 S or the stock one, or the Tricolora. They're selling. So I obviously people like them, and I feel bad if you're the only reason why you don't get the Panigale V4 is because you just don't like the fact that it has a double-sided swing arm, but you want a new one. And obviously, if you don't want a new one, then you can always get a 23, 24, 22, 21, and pretty much enjoy the single-sided or older one for that matter. But I don't think it's enough of a reason to not get it. All right, guys and ladies, peace.